once again, and welcome back. Real people, real life. Joey, Marlon, Vasa. Hello, here we are. And yes, this is a gun, okay? So, let's talk about this for a little bit. Joe, I'm going to let you take the lead on this and talk to us a little bit about Marlon, and then Marlon
had come to me with wanting to educate the public on gun safety locks. With people going back to school, this was a good time for it. Marlon, why don't you tell us what you got here?
What we've got here is a Glock 17. Has a lock installed on it properly. As you know, if you've read the newspaper, watched TV, or talked to anybody in the last couple of weeks, you know we lost another child recently because a gun was left loaded and unattended. Anytime a gun is not in your direct control, that means your hand is on it, it's in your holster, you don't have control over it. That means if you're in the shower, if you're taking a nap, if you're out of the room, that gun needs to be unloaded and locked because children are curious. Children will look, they'll touch, they'll handle, and you have a tragedy that happens because of it. Now, we're working right now with Wichita Police Department and Project Child Safe. Project Child Safe is a nationwide project to get free locks into the hands of gun owners who don't have a lock. They'll only ship those locks to law enforcement. Because of budget cuts, WPD has not been able to distribute locks.
Really?
Really. So
I did not know that. Oh my gosh.
Ever since they lost their budget for their community policing effort.
It's the sequester's fault.
So we're in process of trying to get the locks from NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and Project Child Safe through WPD to our shop so that we can distribute them free of charge. All a person would have to do is bring their firearm in, unloaded. Please, and we will show them exactly how to operate that lock so that a magazine cannot be inserted, a single round can't be dropped into the chamber, it cannot close, so it cannot fire. And we'll make sure that they leave with the proper knowledge and a lock. Until we get those locks, I've purchased a large quantity that will sell at my cost. That's $5 a lock.
Thank you. That's very
just doing our part to try and keep our
That's
community
really
safe.
affordable because I've tried to buy a lock for my gun before and it was quite a bit more. It was like $30 for the lock.
$5. That's my cost.
That's amazing.
How do we get an organization like that to transition from reliant on mechanisms to actually training children in gun safety?
That's another step. And again, that takes responsibility on the gun owner's part to train their children or get them trained by a professional. Unfortunately, if they're not going to take the step to put a lock on their gun until that training is there, they won't train them either. They won't train their children.
You know, this all these things that have been going on in the tragedy, without a doubt, of that child that was killed. But I noticed that some folks in the media are picking up too on another child that was left in a vehicle and exposed to the heat and also passed away, correct?
Correct.
And so now, we've got people that are rushing out there to put window stickers and little, things in your car. And I understand there's an iPhone app that says, you have a child in your car. And there's part of me as a parent, as a grandparent, sitting here going, when did we become a society that we have to say, you have a child in the back seat? Seriously?
We have to have a mechanism for everything today because people are clueless. They're so busy wrapped up in
really? Is that...
When I grew up, I went hunting with my mom and dad. And my grandma, as a matter of fact. So there was guns, but they were always in the gun safe, unless we were going hunting. But I learned at a young age, this is a kaboom boom. It will boom boom. You're gone boom boom.
Right?
Don't we have some responsibility anymore?
Well, they didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they used to teach a gun class in school?
Yes.
I used to have a rifle range.
Yeah, I remember my sister and my aunt opting out for the class or something because they were so too girly, but just the same. Now, what happened to that program?
Because of political correctness, it's not correct to teach our young about guns. which means it's not correct to teach them about safety.
But we teach them not to cross the roads when there's cars coming.
I'm not
we
even
teach
sure we
them-
teach that anymore. When I went
No.
to high school, it wasn't uncommon to have a rifle hanging in the rifle rack in the back of a pickup.
Exactly.
And
Constantly.
you might have been
Everybody
hunting that
did
morning
that.
before you came to school. Today, they're going to lock that kid in a room and throw away the room.
You can't do this in school.
A kid brought a Nerf gun to school for show and tell and was suspended for 3 days.
Well, there was a
'Cause there's
kid
zero
suspended from
tolerance.
school for eating a piece of cheese into the shape of a gun.
And therein lies the
What?
problem.
When a child
wait.
can't even, with American Sign Language, sign their name, Hunter,
Oh.
Because that is the age.
Whoa.
the kid got suspended
Oh my gosh.
until
Like what-
the parents could figure out another way for him to sign his name.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
So that begs the question, if we were to transition these groups from the idea that we're just going to put a lock on it and we're never going to educate the kids, so the curiosity remains until they're in their teens, and then they shoot somebody in their teens and we look at it differently because they still think the gun is a toy. But now we train these kids, and then the kid goes and he's telling these other kids at school about, hey, they taught me how to do this, that, and the other, and he's talking about a gun, so now they're both suspended. At what point does political correctness become a weapon?
We've already passed that
Exactly.
point.
Okay, because that, I mean, to take the ability to educate right there, that's in itself a weapon.
Am I wrong for putting it this way, that it's not politically correct to be politically correct? Because at that point, you're not
I think you may be
individualized.
politically correct
We're-
right now.
we're-
Exactly.
Well, it's like, you can't do that on television. The old TV show on Nickelodeon where the kids
Right.
are dumping off, like the old Pink Floyd things. The kids are dumping off into the meat grinder, and they're coming out, and there's one whole thing. That's what they want.
Sausage
Political
case.
correctness, I'm sorry, but we're diversified. Each one of the five of us sitting here at this table has got something different about it that we could all
thank
joke or poke
goodness.
fun about.
It
And
would
you
be
know what?
boring
If
if
we weren't
we
on
were all the
camera, I
same.
would poke fun at each one of you because that's just
Go
how I
ahead.
am.
Yeah, me
that's
too.
how we are. But if I do that in a public setting somewhere, I'm bad. It's politically incorrect.
Right.
Well, I'm not a wuss. And most of the folks out there aren't either.
Right.
When my children grew up, we shot a lot. We lived in the country. After every session of shooting, we'd come back in. They were required to sit at the table with
And
me
clean the weapon.
while I disassembled and explained every part as I disassembled, and then explained how to clean, why I cleaned, what the solvents were, what the oils were, what they did, and then
Educate,
reassembled. After 6 months with each child, oh God, Dad, you're killing us. Once they got strong enough, old enough to manually manipulate the firearm, then it was their turn to disassemble and clean while explaining all the parts to me.
Yeah.
As a result, my two youngest children work for me at the shop.
Knowledge. Yeah.
My daughter can disassemble this walking across the room without ever looking at it and lay it out in front of you in its component pieces at 21 years old.
That is impressive.
That's very impressive. Tell me a little bit more how people can get to you and to get to these for now at $5 your cost.
For now, come to Knapp Weaponry, 2901 West Central. We have a huge box of these. Again, bring your unloaded firearm with you so we can show you how to properly use it for that gun. Whether it's a rifle, shotgun, pistol, doesn't matter. We'll get you a lock.
How long do you think it's going to be before, excuse me, the no charge ones become available?
At this point, I'm waiting for one of the police captains to take it in front of the board. Should happen this week, and I should get an answer. If they answer no, it would be because they're afraid of a liabilities.
You know, if that's that,
confused.
I have already had this conversation.
All right. Now, did you say it was funding for them to pass them out, or is it funding for them to obtain them?
Obtaining is free. We can get them from Project Child Safe. I'm sorry, the city.
The
can
city
get them.
can.
So they're already in existence,
They
just
are.
sitting there waiting to be distributed?
Yes,
And the funding that we don't have is
for the community
for the
policing.
ability
yeah.
to distribute them?
And the police department is concerned about the liability. Should somebody not install the lock properly, and a child is still able to.
So
to-
what you're saying is
We're
they're
back
going to
to
be
the
able to go
lawyers.
pick up that lock and they're just going to hand it to them. They're not going to do what you're going to
Well,
do
if
and
they
see
could give
to
out
it.
seatbelt tickets, they ought to be able to hand out gun locks at the same time.
That would be an amazing idea.
There you go.
But do you,
I like that.
but is that what they're saying? Basically, they don't want any liability because they're not going to explain to you anything other than here you go.
That is
pretty
part
much.
of it. or if somebody says, well, you didn't explain it properly.
Right.
But isn't not doing something about a problem also a liability in itself?
I would think so.
I mean,
Common sense
you
would say
straight up,
that.
you have
there you go.
you have
That
the
way
tools,
to
but you're not.
One
They won't
could
let you
argue.
distribute the tools
They want you to
in
fix
that
it.
fashion.
Yeah, the
They want you
Supreme
to fix
Court's
a
already ruled
carburetor
though
with a
that
hammer.
Right.
One could
Correct.
argue that child that's
Occasionally
deceased
that
from
works.
last week could
Sometimes.
possibly still be alive had the
But-
police just distributed him.
That's, months ago, I spoke with a local Wichita PD officer, and he was, and of course I'm not going to give you his name because I appreciate him coming forward and talking to me. But in the communication that I had with him, I said, now wait a minute. Is our city and our DA's office really this scared that the society, the people of Wichita are going to sue them? That they're not willing, and it's exactly what he said.
Good night.
Absolutely
That's
right, Robin.
Terrible.
And I'm like, no, really. And he said, Robin, there are cases that, and I'm not going to go. I might later, but not today. Go into detail on that I'll never get him to come forward on, and I'll probably be fighting tooth and nail to bring some of these stories out. And that's where you guys all come in handy and help me out here. But yeah, in my conversations with some of the police officers. They do not want to be sued. The city does not want to be sued. It's easier to just do this. And I think that's very unacceptable.
and the Supreme Court's ruled they're within their rights. They have no duty to engage.
Or to protect.
If you look at Wichita PD's cars today, they no longer say serve and protect.
Right.
All they
It says
say is
serve
serving
with
proudly.
honor.
Right.
Serve with honor.
Oh my gosh, I never noticed that. Are you kidding me?
Ask if you can get fries with that
Protection
next
is
time.
no longer part of the credo.
Right.
They'll sit there
Good
and watch
night.
them.
But
They'll
they
sit-
expect you to protect somebody if you watch
no,
them
it's
being
the bar's
harmed.
fault. When we went to the last round when they wanted to change our licensing laws, they were trying to shove security for the neighborhood around and the surrounding streets around any bar, any liquor establishment was now the responsibility of the bar. So they wanted to turn bar owners and bar staff into police officers.
No
Privately
way.
paid police officers, and that would alleviate them of the liability and put the liability on the club for what happened in the street next to the club.
Which, like this weekend. So
Right.
Right, exactly.
And then if you turn around and actually enforce rules and make sure that there's no trouble in your
then
bar,
you get in trouble.
then you could get in trouble for assault or whatever took place there. I personally was arrested for running somebody out of my club that tried to stab somebody
You're
with a broken
kidding.
bottle.
But I see that kind of injustice all the time in that industry because I work it also.
I'm going to give Marlon one more chance. Once again, please tell us where to get these, your hours, everything.
2901 West Central, weekdays, noon to 8 p.m., except for Wednesdays, we're closed. Saturday, 10 to 6, Sunday, noon to 6. And this Saturday, we have a huge gathering going on it's a poker run starting at Alps Harley Davidson. It's called Run and Gun. It goes through
saw that.
4 different shooting ranges and ends at the VFW, I believe, on K42. You'll get to come to each range, shoot manufacturers' brand new guns for free, and pick up your poker cards. And we've got some great prizes from a lot of the local.
And
How do you
Marlon
become a
also
part of
teaches
that?
for concealed carry. We got to wrap it up and
Yep.
pay some bills, folks. Come back and see us here shortly.
Real People, Real Life is brought to you by these fine sponsors.
At Trailer Town, we're all about selection, service, and safety. Trailer Town Selection, hundreds to choose from, small to large, lightweight aluminum to heavy-duty steel, all types, new and used. Trailer Town Service, the best in the Midwest, from wiring to axle repair. Trailer Town Safety, yes, we do Department of Transportation inspections. Trailer Town, trusted, family-owned, 301 West 53rd Street North.
Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and the lowest prices store-wide. For all your special events, your friends at Hammond Liquor have what you need, from beer, wines, spirits, champagne, and more. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road. Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and lowest prices store-wide, wants to remind you of very important savings days. Wine Day, Tuesdays get 20% off. Beer Day, Wednesdays get 10% off. Microbrews and imports. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road.
At Economy Motors, we know that everything costs more these days. Gas costs more, utilities cost more, groceries cost more. But what's one thing that will not cost you more? Buying your next vehicle with us. Everything we have is priced $12,995 or under. Bad credit, no worries. No crazy gimmicks and no bait and switch. We keep it real. Economy Motors, home of Easy Pay. We've got your back.
Don't worry, please, don't worry, 'cause at Economy Motors, we got your back.
Knapp Weaponry is the home of Wichita's newest indoor temperature-controlled shooting range. Mention this ad for 2-for-1 pricing weekdays from noon to 4. Knapp Weaponry is an NRA Business Alliance member that offers NRA and state-certified instruction classes, training, and women's unarmed self-defense classes. We buy and sell new and used guns and offer gunsmith services. Knapp Weaponry offers a free range session with the purchase of a new gun. We also offer transfer services and an array of ammo. Knapp Weaponry, the West Side's best-kept secret.
Saving you money big time and saying thank you, Kansas, for making Credit King Auto Sales the #1 buy here, pay here dealer. #1 for sales, service selection, and customer satisfaction. Right now, our summer blowout sale is going on with, get this, 2 years of free gas. Only at Credit King Auto Sales at the King's Corner, 31st South and Broadway. Go CreditKing.com.
Welcome back with Real People, Real Lives. It's Spotlight on Local Business. And today we have Joe.
We're going to talk about my business.
Yes, we are. This just
Sticks in
works
the
out so
racket.
We're going to get all up in your business.
We're going to, yeah.
Everybody's going to get up
Gonna
in
get
my
all up
well,
in
that's
your
good.
business.
That's what it thrives on.
Well,
People
yes.
getting in there and playing pool.
Let's start off where it's at.
Sticks Pool and Darts is currently located 2785 South Meridian. This was the old location of the Greg Stevens years ago, which was the very same pool room where I learned how to run a pool room. We opened Sticks in 2003 at 4311 West Central, which is currently the Rocco's location. And,
So you can find me.
Shameless
Thank
plug.
you.
I built the
Love
bar
how we
that's in
do
there,
this.
by the way. These
Right,
hands,
it's very
that's
good.
what built
Come
the bar.
visit.
We started there when I was approached because I used to run the family game rooms for Greg Stevens, and that's where I learned how to run pool rooms and learned what I know about the pool business. And we were approached to take on that location and try to do something with it. Back in the game room era, however, 40% of our revenue came from video games. So what I had to tell the Maish family when they approached me with that is that we would have to figure out how to get alcohol in there because the video game era is gone. Everybody's got them at home and PlayStations.
On their phones.
On their phones and this, that, and the other. We're watching the end of bar top games now because of all the smartphones
believe
that are
that.
out there. So we started in 2003 on a shoestring budget. The reality is I had to start Sticks with a hot check for carpet and spend all weekend getting the check covered. But Sticks is also a story of real estate success. After 4 years at that location on Central, we ran into some financial increases in our overhead. Essentially, the Maish family was wanting more money out of the deal. And I went to them and said, look, if you're not going to let me make any money doing this gig, I'm going to have to do something different. And one of them said, well, if you think you can find a building that size for the same kind of money, I'll go do it. So that made me mad enough to look at the numbers, and I did, and realized we could support a lot
I
of building
love it when
pool
you get
rooms.
mad.
Yeah.
Things really happen.
Just productive when you say
No,
that.
no.
Tell
Like
him
the
where
Hulk.
to go.
I know, right?
On a fluke, we were looking at real estate all over town and couldn't find anything that would fit the bill for a pool room. So on a fluke, I'm running down Meridian one day, and there's the old pool room that I used to run, where I learned how to run a pool room, all opened up, and a little guy in there painting the ceiling. And I thought, well, I'm going to pull in there and see what's going on. And it had 4 lease signs in all the windows.
Oh, wow.
And I asked the guy, I said, well, I'm not interested in a lease. I'm done with leasing. I want to buy the thing. Would this guy sell it? Oh, yeah, you call him. He sell. A little foreign guy had his accent.
I was
so.
guessing.
I called him, and it turned out to be a fellow by the name of Larry Cook. And Larry Cook owns a lot of real estate around this town, and he does a lot for development in the city of Wichita. And I told Larry that I was interested in the building, and he says, well, how much do you want? And I said, well, I want the whole thing.
That's
and
a
he said,
big
well, what do you
building.
want to put in there? He says, well, I want to put a pool room in there. And I explained to him what we were doing. And he says, well, the way I sell property is whatever I've got in it, I put a $25,000 markup on it. That's what you can buy it for. And I said, I don't have a problem with you making money. The trick is I don't have a dime to my name. You're going to have to help me make it happen. And he kind of chuckled, and he says, well, I'll get back with you on that. And I figured that's the brush off. But 2 weeks later, Larry calls me, and he says, okay, 9 people want to do something with that property, and you're the only one of the 9 that's doing what you're talking about doing, so I want to see your books. So I brought him over there to the club where we were out on Central, and I showed him the books and how all this stuff was going to pay for the building and the equipment, and he says, okay, and the waitress comes over and asked him if he wanted something to drink, and he says, no thanks, and she walks away, and he says, well, here's the deal. He says, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, you're going to have to build your own bar. And I'm thinking there, I'm the Antichrist, and I'm just asked this guy for a favor, and because they can't have anything to do with alcohol or cards or any of this stuff. And here I've got poker going on behind him, and my bartender just offered him alcohol. And this can't be good. But the deal came together. I had to go over there and build the bars and this, that, and the other. Larry did the remodel, and we put this package together, and then finally was able to sell it to a bank and cash Larry out. The moral of this story is, people, if you've got a dream, follow it. Sticks was built from nothing. The building we now own opened all kinds of doors. Now we own some apartments and various other things that the bank wouldn't have given us the time of day on had we not owned that commercial real estate. And if it wasn't for putting the idea out there and asking somebody to help you, it would have never happened. Larry Cook stepped forward and he says, yeah, I'm going to help you get started. And we've got a couple million in real estate now because of what Larry took the initiative to do. But he would not have done that had I not asked. Mm-hmm. So don't feel like there's no way you can accomplish anything, because quite frankly, and to toot my own horn, I'm living proof that you can. You just have to get out there and make it happen. It's literally a numbers game. If you ask 10 people a question, 9 of them are liable to say no. You just need that one to say yes.
That's true.
Most people get into business and they don't understand the risk involved, and everybody tells them 9 out of 10 businesses fail, so they think backwards. They think, oh, I got a 90% chance of failure. That's not what that says. What that says is you open 10 businesses so one of them will work. Now, that's the numbers game. If you look at Sticks, we currently have 30 beer taps. We have probably 50 bottled beers. We have 170 different liquors. If each one of those is broken down and treated as a separate business, then you see which ones sell and which ones don't, and you can mark the failed businesses off your list, and 1 in 10 of them are selling.
Right.
So you can apply that to any of the multifacets in any business, whether it be a food business or anything else. Sticks has 25 pool tables. Some of them are successful businesses. Some of them don't make a lot of money. So I even separate out my tables in my own mind as different businesses. And if one of the 10 tables makes money, then I'm making money. It breaks down to that.
Now, have you ever pit table against table and say, hey, you make more money than you?
Yeah, they get really
table
jealous.
friend.
Are you being politically incorrect right now? I'm just wondering.
He's being a little.
Where are you going with that?
Do we have talking pool tables now?
Their cloth changes color and they call
I think it all blush.
One's lighter green than the other.
Yeah, they blush, and then they got red
There's a lot
color.
of different management styles. I didn't know.
But pool is a very racist game anyway. You can't be politically correct in pool, is it?
Okay. He's already explaining
What they're doing.
The white ball runs around bumping off all the colored balls.
Till he gets the black ball.
Black balls last, yeah. And it's a sexual game. Everybody's in there stroking a shaft trying to put a ball in a hole. You got to be careful with pool because
hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Well,
my grandma's tuning in this week. No, I'm just kidding.
Too late to do the family alert? I guess it is.
There should be like a family warning.
True.
On this one.
True story, though. He's not lying. Every bit of it happens at the pool hall.
It is true, yeah.
I haven't figured out the whole thing of putting chalk on your tip, though. That just seems really strange to me. In a bedroom setting, I don't see how that would work.
You've never tried that?
No.
Well, Joe,
the idea that chalk is to make things grab better, and I always thought,
lubrication.
Opposite effect. I mean,
well, it almost seems no matter what you do, business is flat.
You gotta say that this is educational.
I'd like to talk about bacon now. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. I'm so
Pool
glad
halls
I got to
are,
come back to this week finally.
Pool halls are seasonal businesses for the most part. The summertime, you guys were talking in the earlier segment about the great weather. The reason great weather hurts a pool hall is now we have to compete with the lake and the backyard barbecue. Pool rooms tend to thrive in the winter.
True. Most nightclubs, really.
Well,
it
that's
goes
true
pretty much
because
for
you've
that.
got indoor entertainment
right,
at that
right,
point.
right.
What we have to always push for, and I hope many of our viewers would get involved with, is pool leagues and tournaments. Sticks runs 6 tournaments every weekend. We run a lot of tournaments, and all of our tournaments are 200% payback, meaning that if we have 10 players that get in the tournament and each one of them pay their $5 entry, Sticks is adding $50 to the payback.
Right.
So it's going to break up $100 over the top 25% of the field. So our payback is very strong in terms of how tournaments work, and we do this every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Anybody can be in these tournaments?
Anybody can be in them. In fact, the 8-ball tournaments that run Friday and Saturday night at 10 o'clock are rated. So when you come in there, and if you're not a great player, she's going to start you off as a 3. If you are 2 and out twice, then you'll drop to a 2. And if you're in the money twice, you're going to go up to a 4. So it becomes self-adjusting. We've got players that rank anywhere from 2 to 6 currently, and and they're in there every week, and their rates change based on how they win, and that becomes a self-adjusting handicap system for those tournaments. Now our 9-ball isn't handicapped like that. It's just a straightforward race to 3. Race to 3 and 9-ball on a bar table is anybody's game. It really is, because anybody can knock the 9 in early, and the 9 is the fast, loose game that's used for TV. Because when you put it on a bar box, it's closer to a slot machine because you can knock balls in from everywhere. So it.
Who knew?
If you're a 9-ball aficionado, you know exactly.
I can't talk about pool anymore. I'm just going to
It's ruined your life.
I used to play pool a lot, and
You have a lot of stories about
foosball.
Maybe.
Do you have any foosball tables?
Balls and...
Well, balls and
no.
foosball. Okay.
No, foosball and air hockey are the death knell for a pool room.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing worse than being down on a shot, and if you're playing somebody for money or you're playing in a tournament, and then there's all that clocking and banging from some kind of machine like that.
Oh, and then you have to try and concentrate.
You're trying to concentrate. That doesn't
I
work.
used to
Same
play
thing
pool
with
and
karaoke.
foosball, so-
We'll never have karaoke at Sticks.
Yeah. Oh, well,
I think an important consideration to remember about Sticks is you've got 2 rooms, correct?
Correct.
And a giant parking lot.
The entire north room of Sticks is actually part of the Burnin' Sticks Cigar Lounge. Now, it took me a while to figure it out, but the way the state wrote their smoking ban, they exempted smoke shops. And their definition of a smoke shop is that indoor area that drives 65% of its income from tobacco sales. So I got to thinking, okay, what is that indoor area? We don't have a state definition for that indoor area. It does not exist anywhere. So that indoor area could be where I'm walking, could be a circle, could be a box, could be a tree. In our case, it's the entire north room excluding the pool tables and the north bar. So anywhere on the carpet in the north room, you're allowed to smoke. Now, all of that said, we push cigars. I do not sell cigarettes.
Right.
There's a cigarette machine there that's owned by a
And
vendor.
they're good cigars at that.
Yeah, that's what I
they
hear.
are.
But we've got some very high-end cigars and a good spread. Our cigars start at $350 and go all up as high as $14.50. There's cigars out there. They're in $75 and $100 range. We don't carry that doesn't fit our market. But the cigars we carry are very
stuff.
premium cigars.
Good stuff. All right, you guys, I know we got to wrap it up again. Stop by and say hey to Joe at Sticks.
Yeah,
You guys,
absolutely.
thanks. I'm happy to be
Yay,
back.
so glad
Yay,
you're
I'm
back.
happy to be back. Real people, real life. We'll see you next week. Thanks, y'all.
The views expressed in the preceding program do not necessarily represent the views of this station or its management.
At Economy Motors, we know that everything costs more these days. Gas costs more, utilities cost more, groceries cost more. But what's one thing that will not cost you more? Buying your next vehicle with us. Everything we have is priced $12,995 or under. Bad credit, no worries. No crazy gimmicks and no bait and switch. We keep it real. Economy Motors, home of easy pay. We've got your back.
Don't worry, please, don't worry, 'cause at Economy Motors, we got your back.
Karma Connections 1123 East Douglas wants everyone to enjoy awesome karma. From our one-of-a-kind natural healing arts massage therapies to our plant shop now open with specials every day. Unique gifts, one-of-a-kind finds, treasures made by local artists. A must-see, our new line from House of Fur Babies. Our fur babies love some awesome karma too. Check out the Bacon Cave, home of worldwide baconrock.com radio. From our family to yours. Love, peace, natural healing, wonderful giggles, always awesome karma.
Knapp Weaponry is the home of Wichita's newest indoor temperature-controlled shooting range. Mention this ad for 2-for-1 pricing weekdays from noon to 4. Knapp Weaponry is an NRA Business Alliance member that offers NRA and state-certified instruction classes, training, and women's unarmed self-defense classes. We buy and sell new and used guns and offer gunsmith services. Knapp Weaponry offers a free range session with the purchase of a new gun. We also offer transfer services and an array of ammo. Knapp Weaponry, the West Side's best-kept secret.
Hammond Liquor, home of the coldest beer in town and the lowest prices store-wide. For all your special events, your friends at Hammond Liquor have what you need, from beer, wines, spirits, champagne, and more. Open till 8 p.m. every Sunday. Hammond Liquor, West Kellogg and Tyler Road.